All right, so we're diving into AI today, and things are getting kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, things are getting seriously interesting,
No,
actually.
I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, so we're talking about China's DeepSeek AI. You heard about this.
Yeah, I've seen it mentioned popping up here and there, but honestly, I haven't had a chance to really dive in.
We'll strap in because this company's making waves.
Okay, not just like the little ripple kind either.
No. We're talking like tsunami hitting the global AI scene.
Whoa. Okay, so why all the hype? What makes them so special?
Well, what's fascinating is how they kind of came out of nowhere.
What do you mean?
Like, 1 minute, everybody's talking about the billions needed just to enter the AI race, right? Like, just to get a foot in the door.
Yeah, the barrier at entry is insane.
Exactly. And the next minute, bam, this virtually unknown Chinese company drops a world-class AI model.
Really? And they built this for cheap.
For a fraction of the cost. That's what's blowing everyone's minds.
Okay, color me intrigued. Now we got to dig into this.
We've got reports, analyses, even some pretty heated social media threads about this whole DeepSeek thing.
So where do we even begin with all this?
Well, I think our mission today is to figure out why exactly DeepSeek is causing such a global stir.
Yeah, like what are the implications here? Are we talking like a shift in the balance of power in the AI world?
Exactly. Is this like an AI Sputnik moment, you know?
Okay, yeah, that's a good analogy. I see where you're going with this.
Like, could this mean readily available, super powerful AI that reshapes everything?
And not just tech, right? I mean, we could be talking about the battlefield even.
Exactly. What happens to big tech like Google and Microsoft? What about the whole AI race? So many questions.
There's lots to unpack, indeed.
For sure. But before we jump into the global shockwaves, let's start with DeepSeek itself.
Yeah, who are they? Or what have they actually built?
Okay, so DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company. They've actually been around for a bit.
Oh, really? I thought they were brand new.
Nope. They've been specializing in natural language processing, machine learning, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so what changed? Why are they suddenly making headlines?
They burst onto the scene with their R1 reasoning model.
R1, what's so special about that?
This thing isn't just answering your questions, it's showing you how it got there.
Oh, so it's like, here's my thought process boom answer.
Exactly. And get this, it's performing right up there with models from the big names, OpenAI, Google, even Meta.
Wow, okay, so we're not talking about some second-rate AI here.
Not at all. And here's the kicker.
Hit me.
They claim to have built this for
Don't tell me like $1 million.
$5.6 million.
No way, seriously.
Just training their R1 model.
That's peanuts. Companies like OpenAI are spending billions annually.
Exactly. So 5.6 million, if that number is even remotely accurate,
It's game-changing, right?
it's rewriting the rulebook.
Absolutely.
Suddenly, this whole idea that you need top-of-the-line, super expensive chips to even compete in AI, out the window.
And what about the market? How did they react to this news?
Let's just say it had a bit of a meltdown.
Oh, I bet.
NVIDIA, the company behind those coveted AI chips,
Yeah, the ones everyone's fighting over.
their stock took a nosedive.
How bad are we talking?
$600 billion drop in market cap.
You're kidding.
One day. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire value of ExxonMobil.
Wow, that just shows you the magnitude of what DeepSeek is doing.
It really does.
They're not just competing, they're disrupting the whole industry.
It's a stark illustration of the narrative shift DeepSeek is forcing.
Right. We've been stuck in this winner-takes-all mindset.
Where only a handful of tech giants with bottomless pockets can play.
DeepSeek is saying, hey, wait a minute, there's another way.
They're pointing toward a more distributed, more accessible AI landscape.
And it's not just them. Right?
No, we're seeing other Chinese players like Alibaba and ByteDance jumping into the arena.
More competition, more innovation, things are heating up.
It's like watching a whole new AI ecosystem spring up right before our eyes.
That's a great way to put it.
And that brings us to the burning question. How did DeepSeek pull off this cost-effective magic trick?
Yeah, like, is there some secret AI sorcery going on here?
Or is there a method to the madness?
Well, no magic, but some seriously clever thinking involved.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember those U.S. export restrictions on advanced chips to China?
Yeah, those were a big deal.
Those might have inadvertently fueled DeepSeek's innovation.
How so?
They had to work around those limitations, and it seems they've done it brilliantly.
Constraints breeding creativity. I love it.
It's a classic story.
So it was less about having the best tools and more about using the available tools brilliantly.
Precisely, they focused on innovative algorithms, architecture, even training strategies.
Like what specifically?
Well, for example, using float 8-bit numbers.
Okay, I gotta admit, I'm a little lost there.
Think of it this way. They're less precise but need less processing power.
Like finding a shortcut in maze.
Exactly. Getting to the same destination, but with less steps.
Ah, I see. So they got creative with the numbers. But what about this mixture of experts model everyone's buzzing about?
Right. So instead of training one massive AI model to do everything.
Which is what companies like Google do, right?
Yeah, they train multiple smaller models, each specializing in a specific area.
Like a team of experts, each with their own focus coming together to solve a complex problem.
That's a great analogy. It's efficient and reduces the overall processing power needed.
Ah, so like dividing and conquering the AI problem. Clever.
Very clever.
Okay, so we've got this powerful, efficient AI model built on a shoestring budget. Impressive, but honestly, why should I care?
What do you mean? This is huge.
I mean, I get it's a cool tech story, but what's the big deal for the average person?
Because this goes way beyond one company's success story. DeepSeek's rise is causing serious anxiety around the world, particularly in the West.
Okay, now that's interesting.
Remember the Huawei 5G situation?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
This has that same unsettling feeling like the ground is shifting under our feet.
Wow, okay, so we're not just talking about a cool tech story anymore.
Not at all.
So what's fueling this anxiety? Is it just about the U.S. losing its tech crown, or is there something more here?
It's a whole cocktail of concerns, really. First, there are data privacy worries. DeepSeek's a Chinese company, and the question of how user data is handled, potentially accessed by the Chinese government, that's a big red flag, especially for countries with strict data protection laws like the EU.
Right, and we've already seen some countries react. Italy's blocked DeepSeek from app stores, citing privacy concerns, and there are whispers of other countries considering similar moves.
It's quickly becoming a global issue.
And then you layer on the national security angle. DeepSeek's AI could be used in surveillance, cyber espionage, even on the battlefield. Think autonomous AI-powered drones making life-or-death decisions in warfare.
It's a scenario that's both fascinating and terrifying.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, but with real-world consequences. And let's not forget the timing of all this. DeepSeek drops this bombshell just a week after President Trump announces a $500 billion investment in U.S. AI infrastructure. Talk about a power move, a strategic counter to China's growing AI influence.
The timing is certainly provocative. It's added fuel to the already intense U.S.-China tech rivalry, no doubt.
So this is shaping up to be a geopolitical chess match with some seriously high stakes.
It is, but this isn't just about two superpowers going head-to-head.
There's another layer to this story.
Another potential implication of DeepSeek that we need to explore.
Okay, I'm all ears. Is there a silver lining to all of this?
Perhaps remember DeepSeek is open source.
Right, anyone can access and modify the code.
This could be a major turning point in AI accessibility, a chance to democratize this powerful technology.
Hold on, are you saying this could actually be a good thing?
Potentially.
Could DeepSeek empower those who haven't had a seat at the AI table? Level the playing field globally?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It'll
On the one hand, you have the potential for cheaper, more accessible AI in fields like healthcare research, even on the battlefield, as we discussed. Developing countries could leapfrog ahead. Using AI to solve critical problems, smaller research institutions could finally have access to cutting-edge tools.
It's like opening the floodgates to a whole new era of innovation driven by those who were previously excluded. That's an incredible prospect. But
Right.
there must be a flip side to this coin, right?
There always is, and in this case, the open source nature of DeepSeek also raises some serious questions about control and consequences.
Like what?
If anyone can modify the code, who's to say how it will be used? We're stepping into uncharted territory here, and it's crucial to understand the potential risks.
Okay, let's unpack this. What kind of risks are we talking about?
It's not so much a dark side as a lack of control. Think about it. Anyone can tweak DeepSeek's code. What's stopping someone from, say, modifying it for malicious purposes?
Right, because it's not like there's a global AI police force ensuring everyone plays by the rules.
Exactly. And with AI becoming so intertwined with our lives, from healthcare to finance to national security, the consequences of misuse could be devastating.
Okay, yeah, that's a sobering thought.
DeepSeek's open source nature is a double-edged sword.
So it's both a gift and a potential Trojan horse.
Exactly. It has the power to democratize AI, empower the underserved, spark a new wave of innovation.
But it also introduces this level of uncertainty, a potential for misuse that we can't ignore.
This is a pivotal moment where we have to decide collectively how we want to navigate this new AI landscape.
Do we embrace the possibilities, the potential for good, while acknowledging and mitigating the risks? Or do we shy away from the unknown, clinging to the old ways of doing things?
It's a choice we have to make, and the stakes are high.
It feels like we're standing at a crossroads, doesn't it?
It does.
DeepSeek has presented us with this choice, this chance to reshape the future of AI.
But with that comes a heavy responsibility.
We can't just blindly embrace this shiny new technology without considering the implications.
We need to proceed with caution and wisdom.
Okay, so we've got DeepSeek's disruptive debut, its impressive efficiency, the geopolitical anxieties it's triggering, and this whole ethical dilemma surrounding its open source nature.
It's a lot to process.
But what does this all mean for the big players?
You mean like Google, OpenAI, the titans of the AI world?
Exactly. Could DeepSeek, this underdog, actually disrupt their dominance?
Now that's where things get really interesting.
Ooh, love that cliffhanger. I'm already hooked, but we're going to have to hold that thought for now.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back to dive into the potential impact of DeepSeek on big tech and the future of the AI race itself. Stay with us. Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle the big question. What does DeepSeek's rise mean for the giants of the AI world?
The Googles, the OpenAIs, the companies that have been setting the pace in this race.
Exactly. Are they shaking in their boots right now, or is this just a blip on their radar?
Oh, DeepSeek is definitely a wrench in their gears, no doubt about it.
So how do you think they're reacting to all of this?
Up until now, the AI game has been all about who can spend the most right, build the biggest data centers, hoard the most powerful chips.
The whole bigger is better mentality.
Exactly, and DeepSeek's come in and said, hey, there's another way.
So are we witnessing the downfall of big tech as we know it?
Are Google and OpenAI about to crumble under the pressure of DeepSeek's efficiency?
That's a valid question.
I wouldn't start writing their obituaries just yet, but DeepSeek is forcing them to rethink their strategies. Brute force alone won't cut it anymore.
They need to get smarter, more efficient, more innovative.
Just like DeepSeek had to because of those chip restrictions.
It's like the old saying, necessity is the mother of invention.
DeepSeek had their backs against the wall, and they found a way to not just survive, but thrive.
So they turned a limitation into an advantage.
It's a masterclass in how constraints can drive innovation, and it's not just about the technology itself.
Oh, what else is there?
It's about business models, too. Look at OpenAI, for example.
They're heavily reliant on selling access to their models, right?
Exactly what happens when a cheaper, potentially even better open source alternative comes along.
That's got to be a major headache for them. Their whole premium pricing model suddenly looks a lot less appealing.
Especially when there's a free, powerful alternative out there.
So it's not just a technological threat, it's an economic one too.
It certainly raises questions about the sustainability of their current approach. It reminds me a bit of the dot-com bubble.
Oh, wow. Okay, how so?
Companies were burning through cash, valuations were through the roof, and then boom, it all came crashing down.
Are we looking at a similar scenario with AI? An AI bubble burst?
It's a possibility we can't dismiss. Some investors are already voicing concerns about the sheer amount of money being poured into AI.
Like, what kind of numbers are we talking about here?
OpenAI's projected spending, for example, $40 billion annually by 2029.
$40 billion annually? That's insane.
It's a staggering number, and DeepSeek's success could amplify those concerns, make investors think twice before throwing more money into this race.
And if investors pull back, that could send shockwaves through the entire AI industry.
Absolutely. It could trigger a domino effect leading to a slowdown in investment consolidation, maybe even a shakeout of some of the smaller players.
So DeepSeek's rise could reshape the AI landscape in a profound way, not just technologically, but economically as well.
It's a fascinating and slightly unnerving thought.
It is. And it gets even more interesting when you consider that DeepSeek isn't the only one shaking things up.
Oh, there's more.
There's another player on the field, and they're making a lot of noise.
Okay, spill the beans. Who are we talking about?
AI2, the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence.
I've heard of them. They do some pretty cutting-edge research.
They just released their own powerful AI model, Tulu 345B.
Tulu 345B, that's quite a mouthful. What's so special about this model?
Well, for one, it's massive. The 45B refers to the 45 billion parameters it uses.
Parameters. For those of us who aren't AI experts.
Think of parameters like brain cells. More parameters generally mean better performance, and Tulu 345B seems to be living up to that expectation.
So it's a heavy hitter in the AI world, but what sets it apart from DeepSeek?
This is the kicker. It's completely open source.
Yeah.
AI2 has released everything. The training code, the data, the instructions, all under a very permissive license.
Wow, so anyone can access it, modify it, build upon it.
It's like they're saying, here's the blueprint. Let's see what you can do with it.
That's a bold move. It's like they're throwing down the gauntlet to DeepSeek and everyone else in the AI arena.
They're not just competing. They're collaborating, fostering innovation on a global scale.
And early tests show that Tulu 345b is a force to be reckoned with. It's outperforming DeepSeek's V3 model and even OpenAI's GPT-4 on certain tasks.
So this isn't just some open source experiment, it's a serious contender.
It's like we've entered a new era of AI where open source is the driving force pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So we have DeepSeek showing that powerful AI doesn't have to be expensive, and now we have AI2 demonstrating that it can be both powerful and open. This is truly a game changer.
And it highlights a crucial point. The AI race is no longer a two-horse race between the US and China.
It's becoming a multiplayer game with the stakes rising higher every day.
It's exciting, but also a little daunting. It's like watching the world change right before our eyes.
It is. And with all this change comes a responsibility, a need to consider the implications of this technology.
The potential benefits and the potential risks.
You're right, we can't just get swept up in the excitement of innovation without thinking about the consequences we need to be mindful of, the ethical implications, the potential for misuse, the impact on society as a whole.
It's a conversation we need to have, a debate that needs to happen on a global scale.
Because the future of AI isn't something that just happens to us.
It's something we actively shape.
Okay, so we've got this geopolitical chess match playing out with the US and China making their moves, and now we have these new players like AI2 shaking things up with their open source approach. But what about the rest of us?
You mean the people outside of these tech powerhouses?
Exactly. Are we just caught in the crossfire, or do we have a role to play in shaping the future of AI?
That's a crucial question, and one that often gets overlooked in all the hype and headlines. The emergence of DeepSeek has highlighted the global nature of the AI revolution.
It's not just a competition between superpowers.
It's something that will impact every country, every industry, every individual.
So we all have a stake in shaping its direction.
Absolutely.
So what can we do? Do we just sit back and watch as the AI giants duke it out? Or do we have agency in this?
We absolutely have agency. In fact, I'd argue that this is a critical moment for countries outside of the US and China to step up and assert themselves in the AI landscape.
What do you mean?
We need to define our own values, our own priorities, and our own strategies for AI development. We can't just be passive consumers of this technology.
We need to be active participants, shaping its evolution to align with our own vision for the future.
Exactly.
So we don't have to be bystanders in this revolution. We can be architects, designing the future of AI in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Not just a select few.
And it's not just about governments, right?
No, it's about individuals too. We need to educate ourselves about AI, understand its potential benefits and risks, and engage in the public debate.
Because the decisions we make today, collectively and individually, will determine the trajectory of this technology.
It's a responsibility we can't afford to shirk.
Okay, so we've talked about the impact of DeepSeek on big tech, the emergence of AI2 and their open source model, and the need for a global conversation about the future of AI. But there's another layer to this story that I find particularly intriguing, and it goes back to that AI Sputnik moment analogy. Remember that?
Ah, yes, the wake-up call, the moment of reckoning.
It's an analogy that's been making the rounds, and for good reason.
It captures that sense of shock, that sudden realization that the balance of power is shifting, that the world is changing in a profound and perhaps irreversible way.
Exactly. The original Sputnik moment back in 1957 sent shockwaves through the United States.
It triggered a wave of anxiety, of fear of falling behind the Soviet Union in the space race.
And it led to a massive investment in science, technology, and education, a national effort to reclaim the lead.
It was a wake-up call that ultimately propelled the U.S. to achieve incredible things, like landing a man on the moon.
So are we saying that DeepSeek could have a similar effect?
Some are arguing that it could be a reminder that the U.S. is no longer the undisputed leader in every field of technology, a challenge to complacency, a call to action.
But is it an accurate analogy? Are the stakes really that high?
Yeah.
Is DeepSeek truly an AI Sputnik moment for our time?
That's a question that's being debated fiercely in boardrooms, government offices, and research labs around the world. AI is still a relatively young field, and the landscape is constantly evolving.
But DeepSeek has undeniably shifted the playing field. It's demonstrated that the old rules might not apply anymore, that innovation can come from unexpected places, and that the race for AI dominance is far from over.
It's a reminder that we can't afford to rest on our laurels. We need to be constantly pushing the boundaries, challenging assumptions, and embracing new ideas if we want to remain competitive in this rapidly evolving landscape.
Complacency is a luxury we can no longer afford.
DeepSeek has shown us that the future belongs to those who are agile, innovative, and willing to adapt to change. It's a lesson we would do well to heed.
Okay, so we've got this geopolitical drama unfolding with the U.S. and China jockeying for position, and we have these new players like AI2 challenging the established order with their open source approach, and all of this against the backdrop of this AI Sputnik moment analogy, this sense that the world is on the cusp of a major transformation. But there's another piece of this puzzle that we haven't fully explored yet, and it's perhaps the most important piece of all.
The ethical dimension, the question of how we ensure that AI is developed and deployed responsibly in a way that benefits humanity as a whole, not just a select few.
Exactly. DeepSeek has raised a lot of questions about control, about the potential for misuse, about the need for safeguards to prevent this powerful technology from falling into the wrong hands. It's a conversation we need to have, and it's a conversation that needs to involve everyone.
The ethical considerations of AI are no longer an abstract philosophical debate. They are real, tangible concerns that have the potential to impact every aspect of our lives.
We're talking about a technology that has the power to reshape our world, to automate our jobs, to influence our decisions, to even wage war. We can't just blindly embrace the potential without grappling with the risks.
You're right. We need to be thoughtful, deliberate, and inclusive in our approach to AI development. We need to have those difficult conversations, to challenge assumptions, and to work together to ensure that this technology is used for good, not for harm.
It's a responsibility that falls on all of us, not just governments and tech companies, but individuals as well. We need to educate ourselves to engage in the public debate and to demand that AI be developed and deployed in a way that reflects our shared values and aspirations.
That's a powerful message, and it's one that needs to be heard loud and clear. We're at a crossroads, and the choices we make today will determine the course of AI development for generations to come.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. The AI revolution is happening. It's not something that's coming in the future. It's happening right now. And it's up to all of us to shape its direction to ensure that it leads to a future that is beneficial for all of humanity. We'll be back in a moment to delve even deeper into these crucial questions and explore the potential paths forward. Stay with us. We're back, and I gotta say, my head's kind of spinning after that last segment. DeepSeek AI2 Global Power Plays. It's a lot to process.
Yeah, no kidding. The AI landscape is evolving at warp speed these days.
It really is. But amidst all the excitement, there's this one crucial aspect we haven't fully addressed yet.
What's that?
The energy factor.
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room.
We touched on this earlier with Microsoft reopening 3 Mile Island, remember?
A nuclear power plant just to fuel their data centers.
Talk about a wake-up call. It's a stark reminder